It's been around 7 months or so since my last Ashes of Creation video, and in that time there's been a lot of progress made with the development of the game, and right now we're about 1 month out from the non-NDA Alpha 1 test. In recent live streams we've seen gameplay of low-level world bosses, the tropical biomes, a bunch of new mounts, a preview of ships, and most recently gameplay of the castle siege mode that will be present in Alpha 1. In this video you'll get my reaction to the most recent Ashes of Creation live stream, which is probably one of the best they've done so far, as well as my thoughts on the game and the progress they've made as a whole at the end. The armor looks incredible, I love the tabard. The game seems to be running surprisingly well. I love the inside of castle scale, everything looks huge and epic. Player collision. That's going to be annoying at times, isn't it? That throne room looks epic. The light coming through the stained glass. Very nice. So to go through the gate you need to talk to an NPC. Wow, okay. Well, those ballistas are a lot larger than I expected. I wonder if it'd be possible to have a better way of getting outside of the gates than talking to the NPC and having to click that box every time. Maybe it'd be better if defenders can just go up to the gate, press one button and then just go through or something. Nice. So a lot of players on screen all riding the mounts at the same time, and the game seems to be performing fairly well. FPS looks pretty good actually. So similar to arcades, you can see that the mounts have their own little hotbars for abilities. The mount he's riding at the moment has like a sprint ability. I guess you can level it up and it gains more abilities. When I say I'm a big fan of MMOs with giant ass world bosses, this is the type of scale that I'm talking about. That dragon looks bloody epic. An actual dragon-sized dragon. It's actually kind of cool having these PvE elements to Siege, because the players that suck at PvP but are good at PvE, you could just dedicate a group of people to go do the PvE side of things. The thing that I really dislike about the combat in Ashes of Creation, especially after playing it, is the melee combat where as you attack, your character just kind of automatically moves forward from the attacks. I'm pretty sure this isn't going to be a thing for the full release, but typically for a world boss like this, you'd expect the FPS to tank a lot more. It seems to be running decently well. You've got all these particle effects going off, lots of players. Optimization very impressive for an alpha, especially for an Unreal 4 MMO. Oh, he's going to get wrecked. Big damage. That was a cool ability. I love how it looks when the dragon flies up in the sky. The way the light kind of looks around its wings as it's flapping. It's cool that the ice dragon wasn't a complete face roll and it actually managed to wipe their raid. It wasn't a pure tank and spank. It had actual mechanics. The castle looks fantastic though, the scale of everything. Man, that looks cool. All of those players running across the plains with ballistas shooting at them. So these are the trebuchets. I guess realistically, you're not going to bring them that close to the castle. You're more likely to be using them from long range. Seems they can tank a lot of damage. I guess you're going to want people protecting these things. Here we've got a good view of the castle in the distance. Absolutely love the scale of it. Looking good. The game's already running way better than Crowfall with more players, and it's earlier in development. I remember when Ashes of Creation was first announced, people were saying it would be impossible to have an MMO scale encounter like this in an Unreal Engine 4 MMORPG. The whole scale of what they were building was one of the biggest reasons why people were calling it a scam and they didn't believe it could be done. It looks like what they were saying about the whole custom backend was absolutely correct. I have to say, I don't really like the whole talking to the NPC to get through the gate aspect. I think it would be better to find another solution for that. So a problem with a lot of action combat MMORPGs is in castle sieges where you're attacking as a ranged character from the walls to the ground. A lot of the time there's issues with inclines, so your attacks don't actually go to a lower incline. But with Ashes of Creation being a hybrid tab action system, it doesn't seem to suffer from the same issue. You can stand on the walls and attack much lower than you. Doing this here with a ledge in front of you in Black Desert wouldn't be possible, for example. The spell would stop at that little ledge. Steven's boosted his health to 43k so he can get better footage. So if he looks unkillable, that's why.
Oh, I see there's a dragon up there.
View distance is really nice. See the dragon in the distance? This is what I love to see in MMOs. Large groups of players just charging at each other. That looks bloody epic. And the game's actually holding up okay by the looks of it. Look at all of those spell effects going off. Absolute chaos. He's getting dragged in so many different directions, a little bit of desync. Crazy impressive for just an Alpha 1. When you look at other MMORPGs, this is actually running better than what Arcade is running on large scale.
Network is handling this, 100 plus players right now pretty well. Castle Sieges are intending to be 250 versus 250.
Man, if they can do 250 versus 250, that would be so epic. So there's 130 players for this fight apparently. I mean, even World of Warcraft heavily struggles when you start getting to those player numbers in one battle. Oh god, look at all of those players. Raid boss is down. They're attacking the main keep gate. As more damage is done, it slowly starts to degrade. That was impressive. All of that was recorded on a 1080 Ti in 4K. That's quite an old graphics card now as well. Wow. Bloody hell, the hair looks fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing what orcs look like in this game. Oh, that's cool. This one's perfect for a ranger. I really like the way they're designing cloaks in this game. Well, that armor set's metal as fuck. So yeah, that was the most recent Ashes of Creation live stream, and I think it's probably one of the best they've done so far. I've had the chance to play the game myself, however I wasn't able to participate in the siege test due to time zones, but after playing the game for a bit, the first thing I felt loading into the world was this awesome sense of freedom. Although Alpha 1 is just a small part of the map, the world still feels massive, and shortly after logging in and speaking to a few NPCs, you're basically free to roam in whatever direction you like to establish a node, kill mobs to level up, and explore. Ashes of Creation instantly feels like a sandbox MMO, and you don't have that super on-rails intro sequence that's typical in more theme park style games. As you're exploring the world, you'll randomly get dynamic quests pop up depending on the area. If you leave the area, the quest just goes away, but there's no big giant indicator on the map telling you where these objectives are, which adds to that feeling of exploration. My biggest gripe with Ashes of Creation right now is the combat system, which is in the process of being redesigned. I've already given feedback about the combat, but basically I think they should just copy the combat system from Guild Wars 2 and just add an arcade style combo system. That in my opinion would make the game feel a lot more actiony. Currently I dislike the spamming of Q for auto attacks whilst in tab targeting mode, and think this manual auto attack only works well in action targeting mode as you're using left click instead of Q, which feels more comfortable. I also really dislike how the melee combat feels due to your auto attacks making you move forward constantly. The combat also needs its audio visual feedback improved too, but this is all feedback that Intrepid has been bombarded with at this point, so it's pretty much just a case of waiting to see what they can come up with from the feedback. This is probably the last voiceover / reaction style video about Ashes I'll make for a long time, as the next video will be a first impression style format of me actually playing the game. If you've been following this project for a long time, you'll remember that it was only around 18 months ago that people were calling Ashes a scam, vaporware, people were upset at the lack of MMO features being shown, and since early 2020 they've really turned things around, and people overall seem to have a lot more of an optimistic outlook on the project now. Even though in its current state the combat in Ashes of Creation doesn't look or feel good, I trust that the team will keep plugging away until the combat turns out to be decent at the very least. The reason I've been so much more optimistic about Ashes of Creation compared to other upcoming MMOs is simply due to the fact that the motivation behind the game isn't to make all the money in the world, but first and foremost to make a great MMORPG. And whilst the game isn't on the level it's trying to reach yet, if development continues at the pace it has done for the past year, and they eventually nail the combat, I think we're onto a real winner. That being said, you should temper your expectations for Alpha 1 next month. The combat will probably not look great, and the game is still far from being finished. The UI is incomplete, and they're not balancing the game yet, and there's also likely to be a lot of bugs, so don't take it as a finished product. But that's it for this video guys. As always, let me know your thoughts on Ashes of Creation in the comments below based on the recent footage from the castle siege, and let me know what you like and dislike about the game so far, and social media links on screen. Thanks for watching, I hope you all had a successful day, and I'll see you again really soon.